So objection number 37, I'm worried this might not work out. This sounds really, really good, Rachel, but I'm just worried that this might not work out. Let's say the prospect says that. You would say this, well, what would prevent it from working out if it's working for all of our other clients, though? And notice how I'm seeding that it's working for all of our other clients, which shows stability and shows you get results for your clients. Prospect says, well, I'm worried that XYZ might not work for, and now they're going to tell you what they feel wouldn't work, which could be a multitude of different things depending on your product or service and what you actually sell. In this example, let's say you sell a training program that teaches people how to start an e-commerce business where they can make more money and have more time. Okay, I'm just going to give you a random industry-specific example so you can see the structure. Prospect says, I'm really worried this might not work out. You say, what would prevent it from working out if it's working for all of our other clients, though? Prospect says, well, I bought something like this a few years ago and they made all these promises, but they never came through at the end and I just lost a bunch of money, Jane. You say, oh, that's no bueno. What type of training program did you actually go through? Prospect, well, it was the ABC program with Tom Jones Smith. You say, oh, okay, I've heard of that. I think I've seen some of their advertisements on Facebook. I think I saw some testimonials too. Were there other people having success using that training program? Prospect, well, I read a lot of testimonials when I was first looking at it. You say, so if others were having success, what do you think held you back from having the same results as they were? Prospect says, well, I know others were doing well with it, but I just didn't feel like when I had questions, I could get a hold of someone who could help me. And at the same time, I just had our second child and life just got really, really busy. You say, oh, so they weren't really giving you the hands-on help. So the hands-on help is important to you then. Prospect, oh yeah, for sure. Now, hold on. You would also mention at the same time you had your second child and life got too busy. So why look at changing your situation now? Because I'm assuming you're still busy. So why now rather than just pushing this down the road like unsuccessful people would? Prospect, oh, no. We've got to do something now. It's gotten to that point. Did you see what I did? Okay, but why look at doing this now? Because I'm assuming you're still pretty busy. Why not just push this down the road like unsuccessful people would? And when you say that, nobody wants to be like all those unsuccessful people, right? And they're going to defend themselves on why they have to do it now. That creates urgency for them to do this now, not later, and it helps them resolve the concern of maybe it was some of their responsibility because they didn't put in the time in the last program, and now is the right time for them by the questions I asked. Did you see how that worked? You're welcome. You can make a lot of money using that. Now, that's just a random industry-specific example. If you sold like supplies to like a furniture store, it'd probably be a little bit different than that. We don't have time to go through 100,000 different examples from a million different industries. Objection number 38. So what's different about your company compared to others out there? So what's so different? So I gave you a different version of that a while ago, but sometimes you're going to get different versions of this, so I want to show you. So what's so different about your company compared to the company we already use? Now, this objection you might get at the beginning of a meeting with the board, beginning of an appointment with any type of prospect, whether they just bluntly come out and ask this early on in the conversation. When this happens, you want to remain calm, collective. You want to disarm them when they start to pull you in. Never do what most salespeople do and start saying something like, well, the reason why we're different than the company you're with is we've been in business for 12 years. We have the best customer service. We have the best owners. We have the best product because of XYZ. We have the best this. We have the best that. We have blah, 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 blah. This will only trigger more sales resistance from your prospects. Now, why is that? It's because every single salesperson says they have the best product or service, right? How many salespeople that have ever sold you something say, yeah, we got the fifth best product in the market? No one. They always say they're the best. So when salespeople say they have the best and they talk down about their competition, just so you're aware, It actually triggers your prospect to trust you less because they're used to every salesperson saying the same thing. So we want to disarm them here to get them to open up and start pulling us in. Prospect says, so what's different about your company compared to the company we already use? You say, well, maybe nothing. And just so you're aware, I'm not quite sure we could even help you yet. We'd have to understand more about what you're doing now with X, Y, and Z to see if we can even help you in the first place, because maybe you're better off going with somebody else. Or maybe you're better off going with, or you could say this, if they already have a company, because maybe you're better off staying with who you already have. Are you with me on that? Now, prospect totally disarmed and stunned because they were not expecting that. It's going to say, yeah, we'd like to see what you're offering for sure. Okay, for sure. But first, we need to better understand what you have now for blank. Can you walk me through that? And now you're going into asking your first situation question. Now, I realize we went through a different example of that a while ago, but I wanted to give you a different version of that so you could see how you could angle it better. Can you give me any guarantees? Can you give me a guarantee? See, if this guy, born in Arkansas, can make $33 million in straight commissions in 4 different industries as a W-2 salesperson when I had my 16 and a half year sales career and I can't even spell, you probably have a good shot. Just have to learn the right skills. I'm just giving you a hard time. So this objection can come up in several different industries depending on what you sell. Let's give you an example. Prospect says, well, what type of guarantee do we have with this? You say, yeah, we can cover that. Tell me what's behind that question just so I understand. Oh yeah, we can cover the guarantee. Tell me what's behind that just so I understand. Now you ask this question because you want to find out why they're even asking it in the first place. Did they get burned by another company in the past that couldn't fulfill what they said they could? There's so many different reasons why they might ask this question. So instead of just answering it and saying, yes, we have a guarantee and the way it works is, or no, we don't have one because of, first you need to understand what's behind the question. Where is it coming from? And a lot of times you ask that question, the prospect will release their frustration out from the past, feel relieved, and not even care about any guarantee. But let me give you an example of how this might look that's industry specific. Now in this scenario, the salesperson and potential customer are meeting for the first time, and the prospect is looking to stock a popular line of consumer goods into a grocery store, for example. Prospect says, okay, what's your company's guarantee on returns? You say, oh yeah, we can cover that. Tell me what's behind that question though, just so I understand. Now, let's go back and look at the actual question that was asked. What's your company's guarantee with regard to returns? To the salesperson, this means that the retailer wants to buy merchandise without the risk of it not selling. But the issue is the prospect's true intentions were not specified with his or her question. The prospect's question doesn't even specify what kind of returns or what circumstances there might be. So the prospect would say, yeah, I mean, we got stuck with an inventory of torn labels and damaged products about 7-8 months back, and we lost tens of thousands of dollars from that. We just couldn't risk doing something like that ever again. You would say, oh, that makes more sense. Can you tell me more about what actually happened? Prospect, yeah, we had tons of torn labels and about 15, maybe 16% of the inventory was completely damaged when we got it. It was a huge loss for the company. And you say, okay, so you're asking about damage to the product itself and the packaging, right? Oh, okay, so if the label or product is damaged in any way, what we do is, and then you continue on. Notice the sequence of this conversation. The prospect asks a question. The salesperson asks for more information to clarify by saying, I'm curious, did you ask me that for a reason? Or, yeah, we can cover that. Tell me what's behind that question just so I understand though. Number 2, the prospect then provides more details on why they asked the question or the objection. Number 3, the salesperson gets